The Arab slave trade, the truth they never taught us in school. They told us about the European slave trade, but they never told us the full story. They never told us about the one that began long before the Europeans ever came. A trade that lasted for over 1,000 years. A trade that changed Africa forever. This is the truth they never taught us in school, and they will never teach us anywhere else. Around the 7th century, as the sun rose over the sands of Arabia, a new system of trade began. Arab and Berber traders from North Africa and the Middle East started capturing and buying Africans, not just for work, but for armies, harems, and homes across distant lands. From the shores of Tanzania, Mozambique, Ethiopia, and Sudan, they crossed the Red Sea, sailed the Indian Ocean, and marched thousands through the burning heat of the Sahara Desert. Many never made it to the other side. They died from thirst, exhaustion, and hunger. Their bones buried beneath the same sands that carried gold, ivory, and spices. Unlike the European trade, which carried Africans across the Atlantic, this one carried them north and east, across deserts and seas. Africans were sold into Arabia, Persia, India, and the Middle East. Some became soldiers known as Zanj, forced to fight in foreign wars. Others were made servants, concubines, and laborers in the hot fields of Arabia. For everyone who reached the Middle East, many more perished on the way. Scholars estimate between 10 to 18 million Africans were taken, but the real number may never be known. Why is this story missing from our books? Why do our schools only tell half of the truth? Because history has always been written by those who wish to look innocent. And Africa's pain was divided between two masters, the Arab trade, and later, the European trade. For over 1,000 years, long before the ships of Europe came, Africans were being taken by fellow men, traded for salt, cloth, gold, and horses. This is not to spread hate, but to open eyes, to help us see the full picture of what was done to our people. The Arab slave trade was not about large plantations or sugar farms. It was personal. It was invisible, quiet, and long-lasting. In the European trade, men were used for labor. But in the Arab trade, women were often taken for concubinage, forced into harems. Young boys were castrated to become eunuchs, guarding palaces and serving kings. This was not just slavery. It was a deliberate attempt to erase bloodlines, to make sure African descendants would not multiply in foreign lands. That is why, till today, in most Arab regions where Africans were taken, their descendants are almost invisible. But Africans did not stay silent. Between 869 and 883 AD, thousands of African slaves rose up in Iraq in what history calls the Zanj Rebellion. They fought bravely for freedom against the powerful Abbasid Caliphate. They were betrayed, slaughtered, erased from the pages of Arabic chronicles, but their courage remains a symbol of resistance. These were Africans who refused to die in silence. Even after the European trade ended in the 1800s, the Arab slave trade continued in secret, well into the 20th century. In Saudi Arabia, Oman, and Sudan, slavery was only officially banned less than 100 years ago. But the scars still live in our memory, passed from ancestors to children, whispered in our bloodlines. My brothers and sisters, we cannot change what was done to our ancestors, but we can learn from it. We can stop fighting each other, stop dividing by tribe, religion, and language, because those divisions were created by those who wanted to control us. History is not just to remember the pain, but to protect the truth. When you know your full story, you can no longer be deceived. They taught us half of the truth. Now you have heard the rest. If this story touched you, share it with every African you know. Let our children grow up knowing the truth they refuse to teach us. Tell me in the comment section, what other hidden history should I uncover next? Or what questions do you want me to answer in my next video? Because the time has come for Africa to wake up. This is our history. This is our truth.